Neil from Essex here with a fascinating New Holland compact tractor to show you today. And there are some things on this machine that are an absolute sea change for New Holland compact tractors. Come along with me here today and we're going to show you some of the exciting things that this company is doing.
Essex, a helping hand with your land.
Now, before we dive into this machine itself, there is one massive industry thing here that we need to talk about with this tractor that is a big deal. If you look across the industry, the companies that have dominated this space in their respective segments are generally the companies who manufacture their own tractor. This might be surprising, but in many cases, the name that you see on the side of the hood on a lot of equipment in this business isn't actually made by that company. There's a lot of badge engineering, there's a lot of outsourcing of major assemblies to other companies, and this is a tractor that New Holland is now building in-house. Previously, New Holland has relied upon LS, a company from South Korea, for a lot of its smaller tractors. And this has been a hard thing to follow. LS was a partner in these. There were models that New Holland was building completely. There's a lot of attachments that New Holland was building. The old arrangement wasn't necessarily a full product line provided by LS. But one thing here that has shifted is that this tractor is now being built in a compact tractor facility that New Holland has in India. So this is a fully CNH built and engineered machine. Now, while this is being built by New Holland in this factory in India, this is not a complete departure from an old model. When we look at new equipment, we worry sometimes about first generation bugs. And in this machine, there is actually still a lot of technology and design in this tractor from the old LS Workmaster tractor. In fact, there's still LS parts on this machine. When you look down here under the hood, the engine that's down here is still the same engine that was being used in the prior tractors before. So CNH is clearly still getting some of their parts and technology from LS in the construction of this machine, but just building it now and controlling its assembly and its production and engineering in their own factory. Another big shift for this brand is that you're going to notice that the blue color, New Holland's historical color, looks a little different on this machine. This is the first tractor that we're seeing come in here with this new blue that's called dynamic blue. It's a little darker shade than what the prior tractors were before. And I'll tell you, I'm pretty excited about it. It's a blue and silver color scheme. It's an attractive looking tractor. So with the big company stuff out of the way, this is a new tractor. New Holland sells Workmaster machines and Boomer machines. The Boomers being the deluxe versions. This Workmaster tractor is your more economy value oriented machine. This is sold as a 35C and a 40C at 35 and 40 horsepower. Now competitively, if you're looking across other tractors in the industry, this is going to line up well against Kubota's standard L series, their 3302 or 3902. With John Deere, it would be against a 3E series tractor, or against the Kioti, it'd be against their CK series. I went through and picked through the specifications and found the places that this tractor really tends to stand out. It comes out with a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more loader lift capacity than some others, and the price of it looks really attractive on paper. So we're going to work our way from the front of the tractor here to the back, and we're going to start here with the front loader. Loaders are optional, but they're sold on probably 90% of the machines that go out of here. This is a loader that, like the tractor, is manufactured by New Holland. Again, there's a lot of badge engineering of loaders. This is made by CNH, and so it's going to be performance matched to the tractor that it goes on. If you start here at the front, it's going to have a 66-inch bucket on it. It is optional to select other sizes because it has a skid steer coupler on it. So you've got two handles on the back of your loader bucket. You can lift those handles and swap that bucket for forks or other attachments very easily. Looking around the frame of the loader, I like a lot of the things that I see on here. The curvature of this and the way the box welds are put together looks really sharp. They've done a really good job with covering up and protecting the hoses that take the hydraulic fluid down to the cylinders. So many of the hoses are run through the structure of the loader boom itself, or have covers over top of them down here to keep a tree branch or something from snagging and pulling on one of those hoses. Capacity-wise, this loader lifts about 1,300 pounds at the pivot pin, so it is a strong loader for this size tractor. And if you're going to remove it, you have a simple pin to pull back here and parking stands to swing down in order to remove the loader from the machine. If we move back here underneath the hood, when we flip this hood up, you have a latch here in the front, and then a one-piece hood on a gas strut that lifts up. Again, when we look across the industry at economy tractors and deluxe tractors, This tends to be a feature that you usually will find on the more deluxe machines, where it's a metal hood, not some kind of plastic or fiberglass, and there's no side shields. It's one big piece, so you don't have additional components to pull off in order to be able to service your engine. Down here under the front, your battery is in the front. It's really easy to get to. We all know these things go dead and you need the jumper cables at some point, so you're not digging back into the tractor somewhere to get to the battery. You have a large air cleaner up here on the front with dust rejection on the bottom. To clean out your radiators, you have a screen right back here by the side. So from your serviceability stuff on your engine, your major stuff is here at the front. You get the dipsticks and stuff around on the side and oil filters and stuff to be able to change. They're no big deal. They're right around the side of the engine. From a horsepower standpoint, when we talk through those competitive models that we said earlier, this one is a little bit more displacement than what most of them are, and it also is a little bit more efficient. When you look at the tractor's PTO horsepower, this one is a shade better than what some of the other ones in the industry are. So it's a surprisingly efficient engine and driveline combo. Speaking of PTO horsepower, a lot of that is driven by your transmission, and this tractor has two different transmission options. Now, both those transmission options have a 3-range rear end selection, so you have a low, medium, high to choose your operating range for how fast you want to drive. There are tractors in this space, Deere, that still use a 2-range rear end on this tractor, and anybody that's run these things around before will tell you by having those low lows to be able to pull hard or that high to be able to travel quickly is nice. Now that's attached to this hydrostatic transmission. For most people, the hydrostats are going to make up a vast majority of the sales of this machine. It's like driving a big lawnmower. The harder you press the pedal, the faster you're going to go, and it's very easy to drive. There are gear-driven selections available in this transmission as well. Those are going to be more efficient at putting power to the ground. It can make the tractor feel a little bit more burly and powerful, but it is not as nice to operate, a little bit more fatiguing on the operator. Now, for this gear-driven transmission, there's good gear drive transmissions in this space, and there's ones that are frustrating to drive. This is one of the good ones. So you have 4 speeds up here on the dash, and those speeds are synchronized, meaning that they're shift-on-the-go speeds. You will find some tractors in this space with unsynchronized gears, meaning you need to bring the tractor to a stop before selecting that gear and moving forward again. So this one is going to be nice to drive. Now, I mentioned before that New Holland has deluxe Boomer series tractors, but this Workmaster family tends to be your more economy value oriented machines. The place that you can feel and notice that on the tractor is here in the operator's platform. If I look down here underneath the seat, there's several places I can see down to the ground, right? It lacks some body panels and filler space around here that makes this platform feel deluxe. When I check around my hood here, my fenders, a lot of machines are going to put controls up here on the fenders where they're easy to reach. These are going to be a little bit further down here by your legs. They're not quite as convenient to use, but the tractor's less expensive to build this way. One place there is some more deluxe feel to it is here across the operator's platform. So in this class of tractor, it's very common to find machines that don't have rubber floor mats, or ones that have a huge hump here across the middle where my feet are sitting. This one has a nice rubberized floor mat across it, and while there is a hump down here in the middle that catches your feet as you drag your feet from side to side, the hump on this is really minimized. It's not a hard tractor in order to get around. Another differentiator between these deluxe and economy tractors is the location of the loader valve. On the deluxe machines, oftentimes you see valves located back here by the operator with the loader stick sitting right here by your seat. That's a convenient and comfortable position because you can rest your arm on the armrest and you're not having to hold your arm out here in the air while you're operating your loader. It is less expensive though to be able to construct a loader by putting the valve right here and attaching the stick directly to it. Saves a lot of parts and cabling and engineering to be able to do it that way. And so that is the way that this tractor is done. My loader valve sits right here. Now when I move this valve, one thing I did notice is that the throw on this valve from front to back is really far. It's a long throw lever, and so there's a lot of motion here happening in order to move that. But the one thing I do see here is that that long throw probably allows you to feather this valve a little bit better than if it was a short, tight stick. The linkage on the back of the 3-point hitch here feels pretty good and has a lot of adjustability in it compared to some other tractors that I've seen. The check arms back here in the back to control the sway of your 3-point hitch arms. These are going to use sway bars and pins, which is the nicer setup here that you're going to see on a 3-point hitch. The link arms here are not extendable. If you would like to make your attachments easier to hook up, I'd put on a 3-point quick hitch back here on the back of the machine, but these are going to be functional the way that they are. You also have a top link up here on the top with a convenient top link holder in order to support that, and your PTO down here at the bottom is going to come through with a drawbar too that's extendable. It'll slide in and out if you're going to pin an implement onto the back of your tractor. It's pretty exciting to see some of the steps that New Holland is taking with this tractor. Bringing this thing in-house is a big deal. It gives a lot more of this control over the engineering, the quality, the long-term parts support. It's the kind of commitment that we like to see to having products in this important compact tractor space. So if you're shopping for a machine like this, we can help, or if you got parts and service needs for equipment you've already got, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at messicks.com. One last time in this business where loud track loaders just drive by while you're trying to talk and make all kinds of racket.